I thought that this was a good place to restart. We did this yesterday in class, but I wanted to make sure that, we covered a couple points just because I did this again with second period and we tried to clarify some stuff. And so I thought this might be helpful for you guys too, okay? So we have these two parallel lines. Do I know the slope of these lines? Yes, I do. Okay. There's multiple ways that I can do that. Here, this says the slope of lines A and B is 2. Why? Because y is equal to mx plus b. It's an equation of a line. This is slope. This is y-intercept. That is, what is the y value as the line crosses the y-axis, which means that x is going to be 0. Do I know which line is which from those two equations? Yeah. I can look at the intercepts, and I can say, oh, well, that is 3. So this is for A, and this one is for B, because this intercept is -1. I know that the slopes are the same because they're parallel, so it's 2 and 2, and so on. Okay? We need to figure out a distance between those two lines, which means I need to draw a perpendicular. Now, we don't know yet if it's going to be here or here, or we're trying to figure out this distance between, but the shortest distance is wherever we have something that is perpendicular. Why did I choose these two particular lines? Because I already know the value of this point. This point along this line is 0, -1. This point is 0, +3. Okay? Now, in order to do this, I need to find the equation of one of the lines. And I know the point. What I want to do is I want to find the equation of a parallel line, and then using this point, we're going to be able to find the equation of the second line. Okay, so they chose the bottom one. They went through the 0, -1. And we know that the slope of A and B is 2 from the equations, or I could work it out rise over run on the graph itself. Okay, to find the equation of the line, we're going to put it through the 0, -1, so I can find out what is the equation of line B here. Does that make sense? I know the slope, I know the intercept. Okay, and I can write my equation for this second line. This is line P. Okay, my slope is the negative reciprocal, or -1/2. All I do is flip the slope, change the sign, use the 0, -1, so that I can figure out this equation. Okay, here slope is equal to 2, here slope is equal to -1/2. I have a slope, I have a point. I can figure out this line using a point slope form. Y subtract -1, which is my y value, is equal to, and we found yesterday that there was an error on the slide, that they forgot the negative on this line. Okay, -1/2 times x minus 0. That simplifies. Y plus 1 is equal to -1/2 x. They did catch themselves there, and to put it into y equals mx plus b, y is equal to negative 1/2 x minus 1. So I know the equation of b, I know the equation of a, I know the equation of p, I know this point, but now I need to know what that point is. I need to know what the intersection of these two lines, okay, of A and B, I need to know what they are. And so I need to do a system of equations. Now to do that, you could do it the awkward way for some of you where we had, you know, one above and then the next equation below, and we were doing addition or subtraction vertically like that. And not everyone is comfortable with that. Now they did it a little bit differently here, and it's still valid. Okay? What they did here that might be more comfortable for many of you, and I'd recommend, is they took this and they did something like this. Like we previously, when we were doing stuff, we were looking at properties of things where we said A is equal to B and A is equal to C. We could say, oh, well, instead of A, I can just plug in B. And so we found that B is equal to C. Does that look familiar? Okay. We were able to substitute. We were just able to substitute in, hey, if this is this and this is this, that means that this is this. Okay, that's like, you know, if P goes to Q and P goes to R, then Q goes to R. That sort of thing. So here, y is 2x plus 3. So they took that 2x plus 3 and plugged that in for y instead, so that we have x equals x. That makes things so much simpler for a lot of you. Okay? So 2x plus 3, that's our A equation, is equal to negative 1/2 x minus 1. They do the algebra. It's looking more like something that we can do. And they simplify this. Now how do they get there? Let's backtrack slightly. 2x plus 1/2 x. This is also the same thing as 4 halves. Would you agree? 4 plus 1, that's 5 halves. X, negative 1, subtract 3, negative 4. How do I get rid of this? I have to divide. If I'm dividing by 5 halves, do I know how to do that? Are we comfortable? 5 halves divided by 5 halves? When that looks like that, I need to flip and multiply. This is going to be 5 halves times 2/5, okay, which is equal to 1. And so that cancels all that out to become a 1. This one I have to divide by 5 halves. Again, I flip and multiply. Negative 4 times 2/5, which is negative 8/5. So now I have x is equal to negative 8/5. And that's what we're going to see on the next slide. Okay, so take your time with the algebra. It's going to lead you in the right direction. Whenever you divide by a fraction, flip it and multiply. And invert and multiply. So what that says now, this number here is the x value for here, negative 8/5. That's x for a 0.2 here. How do I find out the y? Well, I plug this back into one of my original equations from the system. And so this was the negative 1/2 x, y is equal to negative 1/2 x minus 1. They put the negative 8/5 into x. Start doing the math. 8 over 10. Actually, and I simplify that to 4 over 5. Subtract 1, negative 1/5. So this is negative 8/5, negative 1/5. But we still need to find this distance between those 2 points. So to do that, I need to use one more formula. Distance equals, oh, and sorry, let me backtrack just slightly. Even though I kept it this way, it might be more comfortable for you to take those and convert them to decimals. They're the same thing, it's just a different form, whether it's fraction or decimal. Okay, and so the decimals might be easier, especially as we go on to the next step and we need to square things. So they brought it to negative 1.6 and negative 0.2. So now we're going to plug those numbers from the 2 points into the distance formula, and here's what we get. Take this and simplify it, and you should get about 1.79. There's going to be some digits after that, so they kind of chunked it off right there. We okay on that? Like, we had to spend a little bit of time second period going over this just because there were some sticking points as to where some of the numbers came from. So, can we do this one? What are our steps? We have 2 equations. Okay. So, what we have is 2 lines again. Let's start with our XY axis. Coordinate planes. Okay. So we have one intercept at positive 1, one intercept at negative 2, and the slope is 1/3. So that means I go up and over 3. See if I can be a little bit more exacting this time. Can't guarantee it. Okay, so we're going to have a line there, and then we're going to have another line here. I like graphing because it gives me a visual picture of something that I couldn't see normally. Okay, so we have these 2 lines. This is line A, this is line B. They are parallel to one another. Okay, so we need to figure out something that is perpendicular. Let's go from this point, okay, because here we just have a positive, this is the point 0, 1. This one here is 0, negative, oops, I have that in the wrong place. Sorry, no? Negative 2, positive 1. That is the right place. Everything look good? Okay. So let's try to figure out this line P here so that this is perpendicular. I know I'm not very exacting from this angle. Okay. So we want to figure out a line P that is perpendicular. We need to figure out the equation of that line. We already have the equation for A and the equation for B. We need to figure out the equation for P. Do I know the slope?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the slope of line P is, it's what?
1/3?
No. If we're 1/3, we'd have another line that's parallel to A and B. We need one that's perpendicular.
Oh, so it'd be -3?
-3. Do you follow?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it -3?
Opposite reciprocal.
Reciprocal. Okay, so my slope of line P is -3, and I know I have this particular point that's also on line P. So we're gonna have a point that's 0, 1. Can I figure out the equation of line P? Yeah, I have a slope and I have a point. So y subtract y1 is equal to m x subtract x1.
Why do you have to do all that if the intercept is right there?
If what?
The x is 0.
You're right, you could do it that way. She's saying this is unnecessary work. Why? Because instead of using point slope form, if I used y is equal to mx plus b for line P, do I know the slope?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Do I know the intercept?
Yeah.
Yes. Done. Okay, the reason why I was going with this format was because I knew we had B's and I was ignoring the intercept. But if I did it this way, it's still gonna be the same thing. It's gonna be y and then subtract -1 is equal to -3 x subtract 0. This is going to be y plus 1 hold on, y subtract 1. Y subtract 1 is equal to -3x and y is equal to -3x plus 1. So it's the same thing, but I'm taking more steps by going the other route. Are both correct? Yes. Depends on which one you remember to do first. So I have the equation for line P, I have the equation for line A and for line B. Okay? We know this point, we gotta figure out what's this one. So I need the equation, I need the intersection of line B and line P. So line B is 1/3, y equals 1/3 x minus 2. Line P is y is equal to -3x plus 1. I don't want to solve it vertically. I don't want to do this line underneath and solve it this way. Let's go back to plugging in this for y over here. We're going to say 1/3 x minus 2 is equal to -3x plus 1. Combine like terms. 1/3 x plus 3x is equal to 1 plus 2. Okay. How many over 3? This will be 9/3 plus 1. So we have 10/3 x is equal to 3. If I divide by 10/3, I end up with 1. If I divide by 10/3, I flip. and multiply, so x is equal to 9/10. Okay, so that gives us the x value of where this is going to meet. Okay, so 0, 1, this one is going to be 9/10. How do I find out the y? I plug it back into one of my initial equations, like this. Okay? Y is equal to negative 3x plus 1. Y is equal to negative 3 times 9/10 plus 1. Okay, this is going to be negative 27 over 10 plus 1, which is that's something that would be easier with a calculator by far. 2 7/10. This is 3 7/10. Did I do something wrong with this one? Plug it in, multiply, 27/10. So this is negative 2 7/10 plus 1. Which is 1 7/10 left. Which makes sense. This has to be positive x, and this has to be that has to be a negative y. Where's my error? B and P. 1/3 x minus 2 minus 3x plus 1 add 3x, add 3x, subtract, oh, no, add 2, add 2. I don't see a problem there. 9/10. Plug the x back in. Negative 3 times 9/10.
Did you do both sides?
What do you mean 3 on both sides?
No, I was saying did you, for a while there, I was saying did you do both sides and then did you do
This right here?
Yeah, and then you canceled out.
No, there's nothing canceled out. This is just y is equal to negative 3. We plugged in the value for x and then add 1. So negative 3 times 9/10 is negative 27 over 10 plus 1. So I tried to simplify that out. This is also the same thing as saying 10 over 10. So negative 27 plus 10 is negative 17. There's where my mistake is, I think. Negative 17/10, which is negative 1 7/10. I knew it needed to be negative, but for some reason in that step, I screwed up. Okay? And if it doesn't look like it's making sense on there, you go, that's what happened for me. I was like, this is really not matching at all at that point because I knew my y value had to be negative. Okay? So here, negative, whether you simplify or keep it like that would be okay. Now I know these two values, you know what I need to do next? Distance is equal to the square root of x, subtract x squared, plus y, subtract y squared. So you put in the numbers. X subtract x, 9/10 subtract 0 squared, plus y's, negative 17 subtract 1 squared, take the square root. You punch all that into your calculator, and we should be left with this one right here, 2.85. So long and tedious. Okay? Ready to get to some review?
That was a
Get it started?
That was a problem.
Well, all it is taking the things that we've done and putting them together. That's what this is. In order to figure out the distance between a point and a line or two parallel lines, we're making use of what we know of slope, what we know about finding distance between two different points, what we know about perpendicular and parallel lines, how to find the equation of a line. And so what we've been doing so far has been telling you, like, okay, well, in order to drive a car, you need to step on the gas. Here's how you step on the gas. Okay, now to drive a car, you're also going to need to know how to turn the steering wheel. Okay? And then we say, well, now that you know how to turn the steering wheel and you know how to step on the gas, you also will need to shift. And here's how you shift. And so we teach you all these separate tools. And now when it comes to this lesson, perpendiculars and distance, we're saying, okay, now in order to find this distance, you need to know how to find the slope. From that slope, know how to find the equation of a line. Know that if I have a perpendicular line, the perpendicular slope will be this. If it's a parallel line, the parallel slope will be this. Okay, if I need to find the distance between here and here, it's going to be a perpendicular. In order to find where these lines cross, okay, I need to have a system of equations where I do this right here is my system of equations where I set these equal to one another so that I can solve for x and solve for y to find that point where they meet with each other. And then from there, now I know these points, find that distance. So it's not anything more difficult than before, other than the fact that we're like, okay, now drive. Now we're expecting you to put all those pieces together, you know, slope, distance formula, perpendicular, parallel, equations of lines. My phone is randomly going to pentatonics. What is going on? That is random. We just like open up Spotify and decided we're just gonna play.
That was funny.
Okay, but like you could have played anything else but a play Princess Bonus.
It might have been one of the last things that we played. We've been playing Christmas music.
let me do my
This school's a lot
No,
different from my
I'm
middle
not
school.
going
We
to.
used to do like a Christmas program. Y'all do
So
that.
does this make sense, guys, that what we're doing now is expecting you to take those pieces and put them together?
Mhm.
It's not any more difficult other than, yes, it's helpful to have my notes, it's helpful to have the textbook to help guide me through these steps every time I need to do one of these problems. But do you understand how to do the parts? Will you remember the order to do the parts? I won't. I'd be looking it up too.
Is it on the sheet?
No, there's no order on the sheet for that. There isn't. Okay, so let's start on some review. And let's get rid of this mess. Because as ever, your test is gonna be much like this practice test. I just put in different points, I put in different numbers, but I try to keep everything else as much the same as I can.
Is it tomorrow or Thursday?
It is on Thursday. But I'm trying to make sure that we have enough time between today and tomorrow to cover everything, okay? I'm also gonna shorten it, okay? Because I know time is of the essence with you guys and I'm getting better results if we keep the test nice and short. That also means though that you get one wrong, it's gonna hurt you more, but you have more time to do each of them, okay? And I wanna make sure that you're comfortable time-wise. So the first thing says, classify the relationship between each pair of angles. They give us 3 pairs. Whether they're alternate interior, alternate exterior, corresponding, or consecutive interior.
Number 1 is alternate exterior.
Alternate exterior,
Because 3 and 6 are on the outside, but they're on 2 different.
I completely agree. After all that dissing from the peanut gallery over here saying he doesn't answer things.
Who said that?
Isn't
You
4
did
and,
earlier.
4 and 7 are
When?
corresponding?
Consecutive interior.
I mean, oh, okay.
What do you think, Ella?
Consecutive
Do you think consecutive interior?
That makes sense.
Consecutive interior. I'm using abbreviations just to keep it short
That's
in
alternate
here.
interior.
I prefer if you do spell it out. It's helpful for me to not guess, whether it's the right thing. So alternate exterior is 6 and 3. Consecutive interior for 4 and 7. How about 5 and 4?
Alternate interior.
I still have people that have problems about this on the last test.
No.
There were.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
I think they got it. It's just the corresponding and consecutive ones are. I mean, not just corresponding was the one I wasn't really sure about.
Corresponding.
Well,
is
corresponding, all that really means is if I have this and these two are parallel,
You skip one.
they're gonna be in that matching location. That it's gonna be same side of the transversal, same side of the parallel lines.
So basically 6 and 8.
No.
1 and 5.
1 and 5 are?
3 and 7.
Actually,
Yeah?
yeah, 1 and 5 are. Because in this case, we have transversal matching locations.
Oh, y'all flipped it. I was like, what are y'all flipped it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah, because you kept showing me, and I was like, but that doesn't match the shape that you did.
Well, you're always looking for, it doesn't necessarily have to match that shape. I could go, which ones are corresponding? Here and here. Or
Because it's like,
say here and here.
cause it's like, look,
Oh, sorry, that one's
I
wrong.
look at it different because like, it looks like you flipped it. Like, just that the numbers would be on a different side.
You're always looking for same side of the one that's cutting and the same side of the lines that it's cutting through. For the corresponding. Okay, how do we determine the slope of the line that contains those points?
M equals y2 minus y1 over.
Okay, so if if we go do 4, we have G and H. All I have to do is M is equal to rise over 1, which is my Y2 subtract Y1 over X2 subtract X1. Make sure that we're careful plugging in points. 6 subtract 1, 8 subtract 8. I get 5 over 0. What does that mean, 5 over 0? Can I put that in my calculator? You
Would it be
can.
undefined?
What?
Would it be undefined?
Undefined. This one is undefined. So what would that look like on a graph?
This
Like a
one.
straight,
It's vertical, straight up and down.
oh, straight up and down.
That's undefined. This has slope of 0.
Okay.
Horizontal 0, vertical undefined. So this one is undefined. That's what I want to see. If you give me 5 divided by 0 and you leave it there, you're only going to get part marks. If you have a question like that, okay?
So if we just leave it at 5.
Because I need you to know that this is vertical and undefined.
So can we put that into our calculator and would it tell us?
If you put 5 divided by 0, it would go E. Does that make sense? Okay.
Hold on.
Let's look at 5.
What is the slope of 0? That be 0 over 0?
You would have 0 divided by some number.
So 0 would be on top?
Which is always
Yeah,
0.
you just have 0 divided by something. It will always have a slope of 0.
So if 0 is on top, then that means that it's,
It's horizontal. Because I have no change in y. Horizontal this way.
vertical.
Horizontal's this way. This means no change in y. My y value is always staying the same, so the top is 0.
Okay, so if the rise is 0, it's
If
horizontal.
rise is 0, it's horizontal. If
If-
run is 0,
It's vertical.
it's vertical. Completely. Okay? 5. We have these points, 0, 6. 0 subtract 6. And 4 subtract 0. 0 subtract 6. 4 subtract 0. That's negative 2/3. Agreed? Nope.
Mm-mm.
Wow, I don't know why my brain did that.
With a slope, you don't do that.
No, it's not that. It's my brain flipped and I don't know why. I was trying to simplify it. Both of these are divisible by 2. Divide by 2 for both, and negative 3 halves.
Wait,
I
so
was
with a slope, I thought that you don't
Simplify?
because the slope is like negative 6, 4, or you can simplify with a slope.
Yes, you can simplify with the slope. It's going to be easier. Like, it doesn't matter which way it is as far as actually being able to graph a line. But, you know, whether I go over and I say, like, say we have something that's just 3 halves, okay? If I have to go up 1, 2, 3, and then over 2 to get a point. It doesn't matter whether I do that and then I do it again, or if I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and over 4, my next point is here. It's still the same line. Okay, so this slope and this slope are the same thing. But it's better to simplify because it's gonna make math for other things easier, rather than using larger numbers. Usually whenever you can simplify, simplify. It doesn't change it, it just makes things clearer. Okay, so that was 5. Oops, I don't even know why I have that over there. 6. We have these points, 3 subtract 3, and then Negative 6 subtract 6. 3 subtract 3 is 0. Negative 6 subtract 6. Why is it undefined?
Means you just say if it's zero over any number, it's defined.
No,
It says vertical.
no,
What are you talking about?
this is not vertical.
Says the slope of 0.
It's horizontal.
Slope is 0.
Yeah.
This is horizontal.
So if 0 is on the bottom, it'll be undefined.
0 on the bottom, it's undefined. 0 on the top, it is 0. I can take 0 and divide by something, you're still gonna get 0. Right? If I have nothing and I wanna divide it up between the three of you, you still get nothing.
Period.
If I wanna have the three of you, and divide by nothing, as what? That can't happen, that's an error. Okay? So 0 on the top, horizontal. 0 on the bottom, vertical, and that's undefined. The calculator won't take it. It will give an E. This, calculator gives a 0.
Vertical is like this.
Vertical, undefined. The bottom is 0. This, horizontal, top is 0. This, the slope is 0. This, the slope is
So
undefined.
the zero's on the top, and 0 on the bottom.
0 on the top, 0 on the bottom. And if you need to write that down so that you remember it, like please do, like you
I have a
have
way
lots
to
of easy
remember
notes.
it. It's kind of funny, but it works.
Okay,
So
Let's
like,
hear it.
Yeah, let's hear it,
so, like,
Ella.
okay, let me speak. Okay, the 0 on the top, you draw a little squiggly line
Oh, Lord.
inside of it.
inside
the
what?
0. Inside the 0.
Squigglies.
Okay,
Yeah, and that means because it's going like this is horizontal, so that means it's a slope of 0, and it's on top, so it's happy because it's like on top. It's the king of the world, you know what I mean? And so the squiggly is like a smiley face.
and
Okay.
then if I have this or it goes
And
like
then
this,
if the 0's on the bottom,
Come on. Okay.
it's be quiet. It's not happy, and so there's a line going up.
okay, so like this.
Yeah, and it's like it's kind of like crossing out the 12. Like no,
Okay.
See on
like no.
I see what she's getting at though.
And then that means it's vertical and it's undefined.
That
Uh,
makes
uh,
no sense.
That makes
It
so
makes
much
sense to her. I see where she's coming from. It won't work for everyone.
No, it wasn't that. I understood where she was coming from, but then she was talking about some smileys and then the world, king of the
Well,
world.
when you're on top, things seem normal, and there's at least still an answer.
But there's still stuff underneath, so you're not completely happy.
What?
Does that make sense?
All I remember is
No.
that if it's like
Y'all are
this, it's
messing with it. It
undefined. If
makes
it's like
sense.
this,
Leave
it's
it
vertical.
alone.
It's
Okay,
vertical.
number 7. Move it along.
Anyway.
Makes sense to me.
Number 7. 1 subtract 4. 8 subtract
That woke
5.
me up.
1 subtract 4 is what?
Negative 3.
Negative 3, yeah.
8 subtract 5.
3.
So what's my slope? You tell me negative 3/3.
It is
One,
It is
a
1.
slope of -1.
Slope is negative 1. Okay, we'll pick back upward.
Wait, what would you
8 tomorrow.
Be quiet.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't.
So you got a slope of -1.